Hi everyone, my name is Gabrielle, but most people call me Gabby. I am a graduating senior from New Jersey studying community health and Spanish, and I consider myself an amateur world traveler. I've been able to study abroad through the Mason Office of Study Abroad, went to Spain for a semester, traveled throughout Europe, visited Cuba and learned salsa dance, even traveled to Brazil. I am the first Boren Summer STEM recipient from George Mason and a recent recipient of the Fulbright Award. So I knew I wanted to study abroad since high school. I have always had a strong interest in Spanish language and Latin American culture, so I had been studying Spanish for at least 4 to 5 years by the time I was a senior, and I knew that when I got to college I was going to minor in Spanish. And everyone had told me that the best way to really become fluent is to fully immerse yourself in a monolingual society where they only speak the language or predominantly speak that language. So I was determined that I was going to study abroad, like the one thing I was going to do when I went to college. So I initially wanted to go to Latin America, but given my course schedule and the different programs that were offering, the best fit actually ended up being Spain. And it was perfect because I had never been to Europe before, and I knew I was going to have the opportunity to visit different countries. So it was phenomenal. I first heard about the Boren through my advisor, Dr. Hafer. I initially didn't really pay it any mind because the grant is to study critical languages in other countries, and Spanish is not currently deemed a critical language by the federal government, which is a whole other topic. So I decided, that's not for me. But I was reintroduced to the Boren when I met Dr. Berger, who's the head of the Office of Fellowships, and she suggested that I look into studying Portuguese in Brazil. I thought the idea was absurd because once again, I was like, I speak Spanish, not Portuguese. But with her encouragement, the encouragement of Dr. Hafer, and also the strong encouragement of my beloved former advisor, Patricia Granfield, I decided to take the plunge and basically say, I have nothing to lose. So the process was definitely challenging. It was the first time I had ever applied for a fellowship. But I had so much support through Dr. Berger, but also Lindley Estes Thomas, who, edited and revised all my multiple drafts of essays. And they both provided me with support when I was finishing up my application in Spain because I was completing a semester abroad. And I found out over there that I got it. The Fulbright application process was surprisingly a breeze. Mind you, I was already familiar with applying to grants and familiar with the Office of Fellowships, but this was still my first time applying for anything like this. So the Office of Fellowships gave me my email notification about the required informational session, attended that, asked some questions with a representative from the Fulbright Commission. I started my essays during the summer. Wasn't super rigorous. It was, on my own time where I would send it to Lindley, who would send me back my revisions. Did that over the summer. By the time I came back to Mason in the fall, I was enrolled in University 495, which is postgraduate transitions, and that course provided a structured time for me to revise my essays, but also do peer edits with other students who were applying for the Fulbright, and also get some interview practice, which prepped me for my interview. So it really was a breeze. I had immense support from the Office of Fellowships, but also from my peers, and I really wasn't too stressed. I hope to use my Fulbright experience to increase awareness of international education opportunities, especially among students of color. I want students who have typically not studied abroad or come from families where no one has studied abroad like myself to be aware of the diversity of opportunities that are available, most of which are fully funded, and know that there are support networks available to help them through this process so that students can travel, experience different cultures, meet new people, and have experiences that will change their lives forever.